Milk Jug Mafia, episode 9. I want to be very clear that this is another one of those episodes where it's just a conversation of me and Rachel, my mom warrior, just talking about intuition, faith, discerning, etc., etc. And to give a little backstory on how the conversation starts, we basically start out talking about how me and her met through a very good homeboy of mine. He's really like my brother, but the whole reason I know Rachel is because of her husband, which is a very good friend of mine. So you're gonna get her first impression of me, how we met, why we met, etc.
Like, what people on with that? Like, it's okay. Like, you don't have to feel
Because that was our problem
or
before.
intimidated by that.
Because that was the whole thing is when he got with you, that was the main issue right before y'all got together. He was talking to this girl, and she didn't like that me and him were friends, and I'm just like, and I knew her, so it's like,
Yeah, that's really
it's weird.
That's important for like people to understand that you don't feel automatically threat as a woman. You shouldn't feel as soon as you hear that, you should not feel any type of threat or
Yeah, that's weak-minded.
weak, or not confident or like, who is this? Like, oh, you must have done this with her. Oh, you must just a whole bunch of thoughts start going through your head negatively. And to hear that that was your friend.
Yeah, like I actually knew this girl.
He told me this story.
Yeah.
Because he did tell me that basically y'all was chilling on somebody's birthday. I was on his birthday.
It was his birthday.
And you guys were in the car smoking, and you guys were something happened with he got a call or something. I don't know what made her all of a sudden start acting different. I forgot. But it was like
She got in the car acting like that. But it's like you knew about me. And my thing is his brother was there, and his brothers always kind of had a thing for me. So and then but that's the thing at the time.
okay.
She was there too. So I don't know if she was just intimidated because both of us was there or what.
But didn't you explain, even though because he did tell me that you guys were friends or whatever, and he said that you hooked them up. So how can you be weak-minded? Yes, is a good word, but
I think that
it has to do with your confidence.
That's to me. That's all weak-minded, insecure, weak-minded, lack of confidence. To me, all of those things are best friends.
Okay.
Y'all all hold hands together and
Okay.
do the same work. To me.
Okay. Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't have time for that because like if I get with a guy, and he has a girl best friend. If you tell me that and we're supposed to be together or whatever we are, I'm gonna just be like, okay, who am I to tell you who's been your friend all this time? Time will tell if you're lying, elaborating, making something up. Like when you trust your intuition, you let things just play out how they gonna play out, and you keep it pushing. You don't dwell in it, and that's how I operate as a woman who don't got to deal with all that insecurity. So it's like I just don't entertain women. Like I say all the time, we can't hunch and make up. So I don't do beef with women, and I don't do the whole. That's why I told him, tell her off the rip, I'm not doing that. Blah blah blah. I was like, you telling me she got kids? I feel like she'll be more understanding. She's probably more mature if you just go ahead and tell her at the beginning. And so,
And that's a question. Do you feel like if you get with a guy, do you feel like he needs to tell you that off rip? Or do you think that you guys need to be serious enough for him to tell you that?
yeah, I think that we're serious. Like I was just with a guy and he was on the phone with a girl.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't say, oh, who is that? 'Cause like, we're not really together. Like, we're not really doing that. So, and who am I to say, why am I trying to run woman off and I'm not trying to lock you down and have your back and be around?
Right.
Makes no sense.
Right. Like you're being kind of nosy and you're doing too much.
It's contradicting as a woman because it's
Yeah.
like, I don't care about what you're doing because that means you think like, I may want to be serious with you, but maybe not today. Like I'm not going to, you don't sweat and put pressure on stuff like that.
That's like trying to be a housewife early.
That's what ugly hoes do.
That's like trying to be a housewife early and show your housewife traits right at the beginning of the relationship and you're like, and right, like what are you gonna give when if you do decide?
I feel like if we're like serious or like if I'm around you all the time and our time is valuable to each other,
right? That's a good point.
You're like talking to her or what, like if we spend enough time together together to where we talk on the phone and we like damn near live together, then it's like just be like, oh yeah, this my
Yeah,
homegirl.
that's your,
Just
that
we
should
talk
be
all the
something.
time. Like, I mean, and I'm not gonna know your everyday life because we transition from casually seeing each other and building up to spending more time together. So it's like, okay, cool. Like for now, I'm gonna believe and trust that this is just your friend.
How are you feeling about it though? Like when you
Things always
first,
reveal itself to me.
when you first meet, say you're dating a guy and he introduces you to his girl best friend, are you like, I'm gonna be buddy buddy with this girl because this is my man and I really like him? Or are you just gonna, like, obviously you're gonna feel her out, see what she's like, see if y'all vibe, but regardless, I mean, if
I
this
feel
person's
like
gonna be around, what are you gonna do?
I feel like I feel like I'm gonna be more like respectful of the relationship because it's like, okay, cool, y'all are besties, da da da. But like, if my man is doing what he's supposed to do when it comes to me, I'm not gonna really think about her too much. It's just gonna be, oh yeah, like this is his girl best friend. And if we're put in situations where we do hang out, then cool. And if those situations create other scenarios where we want to hang out naturally, then that's cool. But I'm not gonna force that. I'm just gonna be, hey, how are you? I try to include everybody in the conversation when I'm in a social setting. Like I'm not scared to speak to a soul.
Right.
So when
I
I
like
met
that.
you, it was more of and that's evolved greater over time. When I meet people and talk to them, I'm just being myself. So it's like, if I get some type of drawback or hint that you really don't want to,
That's
you
exactly
don't want
though.
to talk, or
Let
if
me
you
tell
don't want
you,
to be
that's
bothered.
exactly how I felt when I got in the car. You had a van at that
Mm,
time. Remember
yes,
that?
everybody remembers that guy. I was
Okay,
everywhere.
and I got in the, and that was my same like impression. Like I just want to feel her out, get to know her. Like I've never been like, I've got to be best friends with a girl. I've kind of always just kind of been friends with guys, and so I was just kind of like meeting you, like, okay, let's see what she's like, whatever. And you were very inviting, very like just calm, very just like you didn't give me the vibe or the, like I said, my intuition, my discernment, any type of like badness about you. It was like very like relieving.
Mm-hmm.
And so yes, it was very cool. And I was
Five
like,
star review, guys.
yes, a 5-star review. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna get to know her, but I'm gonna take baby steps because I still don't know about them. They're just like, I'm getting to know him
I was just
still.
gonna say you were still fresh with him,
And
so
yes, and
yeah.
I was just kind of like, okay, I don't know any, like,
You're going with all these people.
yes,
You're meeting his whole
because he
family.
did take your advice and he did
Yeah.
tell me about you right off the bat. And
Yeah,
I'm talking about
I was like,
right off the
because
bat.
because Tony is my brother, bro. Like
Mhm.
when you don't have consistent guy friends,
Yeah.
I've lost a lot of good guy friends throughout my life because they all either end up liking me or a lot of men lie about their true intent behind the feelings they have for you. Like a lot of men pretend to just be your friend or be there for you so they can, deflect, made up emotions they never told you about and make it awkward and they just stop talking to you. Like I've been through that. And Tony is one of the first people I've actually met that is like literally just my fucking friend. And it's so
That's
nice.
relieving.
Yeah, because I've grown up around a lot of what I've learned about life and a lot of my character has been developed from it. I'm very close with my uncles, my dads and stuff. So I like being friends with guys. I feel like
Mhm.
guys are a lot more easygoing than women's and sometimes my emotions can be too much and I enjoy the simplicity of a man. So
Yes,
there are
that's
times where I
exactly
can
what
talk
I
to
meant.
Tony
Like I
and
was,
sometimes Tony gives me a man's perspective that makes things seem simpler to me. And I think I've taken a lot of advice from men and that's why I act the way I do. Men, I think of things in such a logical, simple way and when you apply the intuition and emotions of a woman and mix that with the perfect logic sense of a man, like you can't lose in life, period. Because that's why I think the whole male and female thing goes together. But
that makes,
it does.
listen,
It's a good balance, but he's like
that makes
he's just
so
somebody
much
I
sense.
can't like he's somebody I cannot lose. So I told him like, look, you need to just go on and tell her. Cause I was at that time I was doing him a lot of favors and it was just, and I didn't mind, but like I didn't want what he had going on in life to be hindered by a woman that wants to jump in and try to, dictate everything because I didn't know what was gonna happen. But I was like, you need to just go ahead and tell her because I would want to know. And I feel like that's how I thought of it at the time. If this was me, I would just be like, okay, cool, who the girl? Like you telling me about it to either be sneaky or to be honest. It's one or the other.
Hmm.
You're either trying to keep your ducks in a row or you're trying to keep everything
And
transparent.
that's what it felt exactly to me. Being upfront about something. If you're my man and all of a sudden you're just coming up with this name and this person, that seems a lot more shady than, hey, right off the bat, I'm letting you know about this person. I mean, when you lie and you're sneaky anyway, you're doing it behind closed doors, and it's until you get caught that it's out in the open. That's being upfront about something is
basically.
the best thing to do. So anyway, that was really relieving, like when I met you, and now we're like here. This is 5 years later.
Right.
And so like we're here doing this, and we're getting to know each other more, and we still baby stepped it. Like here recently, we like picking up more on, talking about a lot of things, and just kind of getting ourselves out there. And one of the things I did want to talk about tonight is intuition, because I have my page that I'm starting up, and I am going to talk about intuition on there as well. Let me see. So we're definitely going to talk about. uh,
And for the people that don't know, intuition is something God blesses you with. Everybody ain't gonna understand what she talking about because y'all are ignoring yourselves. So
On the last podcast, I looked up the word atheist and
atheism.
atheism, and I look or atheist, and I kind of like that. Like I like how I can just look up words. So I'm gonna look up intuition and read that just like I did last time for.
Yeah, because some people really, when you talk about something, you want to make sure you're speaking of the term correctly. And just so everybody's on the same page, it's easier.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, women are intuitive beings, but everybody is capable of having intuition.
Intuition, the ability to understand something immediately without the need for consciousness, reasoning.
Yes.
I like it.
It's like a gut feeling almost.
Yes,
Yeah,
and it's
and I feel
something
like
that we don't trust.
yeah, and I think that I would love to touch on how a lot of people like this, that feelings and stuff like that can lead you astray. But I feel like there's just certain situations where it's like your gut or your subconscious could be alerting you of something that you really aren't even paying attention to at all. So it's like intuition literally is just it happens on its own. I don't think that you can make it happen.
No, you can't. But that's the gift. That's the beauty of it, and that's what we don't trust. We don't trust our intuitions because we want to compromise for other things that we may want. We don't want to believe it. We truly understand. This is the ability to understand something. We understand that maybe this thing is not right, but we don't trust it because we want it to be right.
I think that people ignore their feelings too, though. Like,
That's yeah.
I feel like it's kind of one of those things where it's like they don't know, they can't identify what intuition is because when they get these feelings, they're not processing them or analyzing them or talking to other people about them to understand them better. So some people, I feel like they don't even know what that gut feeling feels like.
I was talking to a girl. I was driving an Uber. I mean, I took an Uber to my mom's job, and so I had about from here to there. It's about a good 10 minute, maybe almost 15 minute conversation with her. And she was talking about a guy that she was currently with, and how she was doing all these favors for him, and she was just really, dedicating herself to him because she really felt like, he was a good guy, and, there was a lot of pros and cons, but, she really liked him. And her intuition told her, because he is, in the Navy, and although she was dedicating herself and doing all this for him, he didn't really seem as into her. And she didn't know if he was, talking to other people, if he's going to be deployed, if it's going to work out. She's doing all these favors for him. He's not reciprocating it. And I said, like, what are you discerning? What is your intuition about this situation? Do you feel like you need to be with him? Although, yes, because he is, it's not like he's just dogging her out. He's taking her out, and he's having conversations with her, and they do stuff, and maybe he's buying her stuff. But the things that she was telling me about, I said, what's your intuition? Do you really understand like what you're doing with this guy? Do you want to be with him? And she was like, I really feel like I don't need to be with him because he doesn't walk me to my car when I leave. Now she's telling me about the cons, and she's like, those cons, the cons that she's telling me, in my opinion, are red flags. Like, girl, you don't need to be with him.
Right.
You know, the stuff that she's doing for him, he's not able to reciprocate it, but she still likes the relationship that they're in based on certain things that he does that she does like. It's like, girl, all that just no.
You can find another man that do that and more.
And so we don't follow our intuition. Now, um, what was the word that you used besides intuition? You said, I know you said follow your feelings, but it was in the beginning, and I'm sorry I don't remember that word. But it's just following our gut. I think you used gut actually. Following our gut feeling.
Yeah, I feel like, because there was a time where like I was working and I was working at this call center and I was just on the phone. Like, you know how when you work at a call center, you like when you talk on the phone, it's almost like you're a robot. You kind of saying the same thing every call because people are typically calling for the same stuff. And for some reason, I just started crying, like
What?
hyperventilating, like hysterically It was like a panic attack. Like it was so weird.
Mm.
And I was having like a normal day. Like nothing was bothering me. No one on the person on the phone wasn't saying nothing like triggering to me. I don't know. But after that call, I like, put my phone on hold or whatever. And I went to the bathroom to like, just get it all out and be done with it. But I went to the doctor and I was like, look, like I told him what happened. And he was like, he did a few tests on me and stuff. And he said that I was healthy and I was normal. But he gave me these little books or YouTube videos to watch about how your subconscious can basically be triggered by things that may bother you emotionally, whether that's like a good or bad or fearful, whatever the emotion is. However, your brain is programmed or wired, there are certain things that can trigger your subconscious, and we don't control our subconscious thoughts. So it's like he said there was something that triggered, he said there was something in you that happened that it wasn't you consciously thinking about it. That was something your subconscious wanted to do
What?
on its own. And I was like, it's crazy because that makes sense, but I still to this day don't really know why. Like I wasn't having a bad
It
day.
only happened once.
It just happened that one time. And I'm telling you, like nothing was wrong with me. Like I wasn't sad or nothing or
You just
going through
came
nothing.
out of
And I mean,
nowhere crying.
yeah, like just started, and I was on the phone talking regular, having a
God.
regular work day. And I'm like, this is a little weird. But that's why I say like, but that still happened for a reason, maybe. So it's like, because I was going through something, but it wasn't like at the time, it was like I was in a really bad relationship, but at that time it wasn't bad. So my brain wasn't in that like, oh, I'm sad about my man, why we can't make, how before you give up, you're just hurt about it. I wasn't, it wasn't one of those times. Like we were good, everything was fine, and it just came out of nowhere. And I was like, what the fuck is wrong with me? But like I said, when I graduated high school, I had to unpack a lot of childhood trauma by myself because I was isolated from everything that I knew. And I was going through that while I had a boyfriend who didn't understand that either. And pretty much everybody that I date doesn't understand the stuff I've gone through. And it's hard for them to understand why I act the way I do. But once you make your mind up and you trust your intuition, it's kind of like one of those things that's like what I've been through has brought me to be who I am today. And that's why my intuition is as strong as it is because I stopped listening to other people and started listening to myself. You can't really discern what's proper information to absorb and what's not if
Yeah.
you don't, you have to be able to kind of navigate on your own in this world because that you may have to.
You have to do it by yourself.
You might have because you
Just
may
like
have to.
when people aren't ready to receive information and they're telling you, and you're telling someone stuff that is obvious and they're just not receiving it. They have to be ready to receive it and they have to be ready to do something about it.
Mhm.
And
That's why I give up on some people in that aspect. Like after I'm explaining myself to you so many times and you're like not really getting where I'm coming from, it's like, oh well. Because another thing that I've done that a lot of people don't do is I've almost mastered acceptance. So it's like there's a lot of stuff that doesn't bother me because I accept it for what it is and I don't give it my energy. So it's like people want to get caught up discussing things that aren't going to change just because you want them to change. It's just like you said, people are going to change stuff when they see fit.
Mhm.
So like if I'm going through a phase where you may think I'm being aggressive or talking crazy or out of turn, that may be true. But also, like I told my sister earlier, people go through stuff and they don't want to think about how they're delivering it. They just want to get out their feelings. And sometimes they may come out kind of iffy, but that's just,
Mm.
to me, that's just being a human. Like you get flustered sometimes or you get overwhelmed and sometimes you want to scream or cuss or whatever. So it's like sometimes it's best to just do it and, you could beat yourself up about it and think about how weird you are later. But
So we got some similar words and just another part of intuition, instinct. I know you guys have heard of that. Sixth sense, gut feeling, discernment. And then a thing that one knows or considers likely from instinctive feeling rather than conscious reasoning. Like your feelings and what you're feeling do not need to be compromised for anybody. You know, I have made decisions when my intuition says something and I literally have ignored it, and so many bad things have happened.
that's another reason why I started trusting my gut. It's like I would do kind of like experiments, like
Mm.
trying to see, like, okay, like if I do this, let me see what happens. And then it's like, okay, if I go with my gut or if I exert this energy out into the world and just do what I feel like doing, go where the wind takes me, however you want to put it, typically things go out better in my favor. Like you kind of keep other people out the mix of what you decide to do. Yeah.
I mean, that saved you, right? I mean,
But
that has
that's another way I learned or grew closer to God, I'll say. Like having those moments where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna put my, like I would intentionally do things to see how the outcome would be based on doing what other people were either expecting or I thought they meant being a people pleaser, whatever you want to call it. There were situations where I would do it on purpose to see like, okay, what happens? And then okay, what happens if I just do what I want unapologetically?
I think that's why these podcasts are so good, because all the game that you give out, all the knowledge and all the wisdom is something that I wish I had growing up. Because if I thought to listen to something like this and understand, like, okay, they're saying to be independent and trust your gut and to know those things, it would help so many different women and even men to be guided in life. Because so many times, like this said, it says it's a feeling. I mean, when do you think, at what age do you think that people start to feel that feeling of intuition?
I think they start feeling it as kids, like young children. Like
And do you think that intuition it ties in with integrity and morals?
I definitely think it does
I
because you
mean,
have to have something to go off of to know what's right or wrong. It's just
definitely,
like what you said earlier about LaMelo knowing to lie to save himself.
naturally, I've
Yeah.
literally seen it. I mean, and it's like, when is my kid gonna have their first lie? Literally, that's how it was. Like, oh my God, Nella just had his first lie today. Like, it was crazy, and it's naturally in us. But I'm grateful that we talk about these things, because it's really important for people to do what you said and just practice putting yourself first and your intuition first and your feelings first, and see where that gets you. Kind of like you said just now, experiment with it.
Yeah.
Because if you use that and you use that guide and those guidelines, you'll save so much time in your life. You will not make so many mistakes that are just, I want to do what I want to do.
Yeah, you won't be hanging out somewhere where you're not valued for too long,
Right.
just for the sake of it. Like people don't value themselves, so they don't go with their gut. Because some people like to downplay their worth, like, oh well, maybe I just this is a lot of people, maybe I deserve this, and some people think that, and this is what's really sad about it from like a relationship standpoint. Anyways, it's really sad that like how you talk about with that girl, a lot of people will go through those cheating, lying, whatever, whether it's guy or girl, a lot of people go through all of these toxic hardships and relationships that should be automatic deal breakers from the beginning.
Right.
And it's like, you think you deserve this because this is what you see what this is what everybody's dealing with. Like everybody's so brainwashed by social
They do
media that
compromise.
they do, and they honestly they apply this standard to life, and that's why our generation is weaker. We're all influenced by each other. Like, oh well, all these memes on Instagram is saying sneaky link this and this and whatever dumb mess it is. It's like this is what y'all think that y'all don't even know what a real relationship is. Y'all don't know what unconditional or conditional love is.
Mm-hmm.
All of it is like don't like people like that shouldn't be saying they grown to me.
No, they're
'Cause
not.
it's like
It's like you're
not
naive. You're
grown.
naive. The word is naive. You're so naive
You're weird.
that you think you know so much. That yes, I've seen like 17-year-olds and 18-year-olds. Like, I'm sorry, but you're not grown. You know nothing. Miley is about to be 16.
And she
Then there's 17 and then there's 18. And I see my child. And I'm like, she's a baby at 18. At 19, you're still a baby in a sense.
show is.
Unless you've gone through a lot that's matured you like that and you had to get wise and you had to do that, and even then, you really
But even then, when you have to grow up too fast, you miss out on stuff. Like,
right.
no matter what direction it is, I don't care because I do know somebody like that. Like, they grew up with a single parent and they were paying bills since they were like not even 18. So they understand the responsibility of like maintaining structure and being stable
But you're
because they
still a
didn't have a
baby.
choice. But it's like you're still a baby in the sense of what you need to know mentally, like the fundamentals of just being a human being. You missed out on those things because
Mhm.
you didn't have someone to teach you that. So it's like he doesn't know how to compromise with others for that reason. He thinks that, okay, well, no one took care of me. I had to help my mom and pull away, and I was pretty much like an adult at a young age. It was more like my mom was my homegirl than a parent. So when you factor that in, you think, okay, well, can't nobody teach me nothing, or can't nobody tell me nothing because I've taken care of myself all this time. And when you grow up like that, you think, okay, well, it's my way or no way because this has worked for you all this time. That's just not how people work to me. You can't. Like, and when you talk about relationships and trying to get comfortable and used to people, people can't. I'm not gonna be able to get used to
Pillows.
what.
There's pillows and blankets.
Oh, I don't get it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I feel like people use like because that was something I actually saw on Facebook. People, it's such a dumb question to me, but it was like, do you think that people's childhood affects their relationships? And it's like, duh.
How do you know?
How you're molded as a person is solely based on your childhood. Like
Yeah.
how you turn out at 18, 19 is based on your childhood.
Yes.
Because at 18, 19, looking at it now, like yeah, I
I'm
was a
seeing
baby.
it.
Yeah, it's like yeah, I was a baby.
I can't imagine, like, Miley doesn't have elaborate, like, stuff and all this, but the love and the time and the raising her as close to me and with the respect and all that, it is so important
And
because,
she's already rich. I told this guy I used to date, me and his mom are actually very close. So there was a day we talked on the phone and she was just like, how are you doing? And I was like, honestly, like at that time I was praying a lot, asking for a lot, and God had just granted me like a lot of wisdom, clarification. There was like a lot of stuff, a lot of revelations I was having at that time that were uplifting to me. Like I felt good. And I was telling her, I was like, honestly, like I've been exposed to so much information um that I feel like really rich. It's like so weird to me. But I feel rich.
yeah,
I don't have the funds, but I feel really rich in knowledge. And like I'm almost to a point now too where it's like I literally don't even want to talk to people that don't understand where I'm at mentally. Because it's like you're committed to not getting it. You're not ready. Like you said, you're not ready to hear it or understand it or whatever.
yeah,
So it's like I'm good.
that makes sense.
It's just weird to me, but I feel like that's what kind of, but I've always been a calmer person. I think the more I've grown as a person, it's made me more aggressive in some ways when I deliver certain things to certain people. Because I'm like, honestly, I'm sick and tired, and I feel like y'all should just know this already. Like my tolerance is low for certain
Yeah,
things when I
your
speak
patience.
because I'm like, I feel like I'm saying stuff that people should understand it.
Yeah,
And it's like
like,
I
why do
can't
I have to
believe
tell you that?
because people are so brainwashed to the point where they don't believe that they're capable of having or being certain things. So they don't think they're capable of earning a certain type of love or earning a certain type of thing
It
for
is really
themselves.
messed up out
And it's
there.
a discouraging world. I mean, this economy sucks. There's a lot of variables. I always say that, but
Mm,
I feel like a lot of it stems from people being weak minded. Like
yeah.
we can only do so much about the current situation we're in, but having positive thoughts and doing positive things or doing intentional things to gain positive things is all people should really be focused on. Like everything else is kind of like extra and it's a part of life. And you're going to submit to your flesh and do what you want to do at times. But it's like ultimately, like you got to figure out what you're trying to do. You can't be sitting around complaining about what the world is going to do for you when you need to figure out what you were put here to do for the world. Like you
Right.
need to find what your purpose is and go on about your day. Cause that's why I really don't that whole question was just stupid to me. Like, of course, people's childhood affects the relationship because that's why some people are unwilling to change in relationships. They don't want to let go of the stuff that they
And
have
they don't know how
learned
to
in their.
handle emotions. They don't know
They
how to
don't know how to
handle
let go of their
other
childhood
people.
too.
They
Like
don't.
they don't know how to let go of. It's a, oh well, this is what I've done my whole life, so this is what I'm used to. So this is my. To me, this is common sense and logic, and it's like no, it's not. This is just your perception. People confuse common sense and basic knowledge with their perception of the world based on what they've learned. So they're like, if they're like, oh, well, I'm comfortable with this and this works for me, I don't want my mind blown. I don't want to get outside this box. I want to stay in it.
Right.
That's how I feel about a lot of people. And that's why I don't be talking to people on this level sometimes because it's exhausting. I feel like if I feel like I'm talking to you and I literally, my intuition is so heightened now to where I feel drained. I
Mm.
have dreams that tell me things. I have like all these premonitions now. Like it's very, I'm hypersensitive with stuff now. Stuff I don't want to know, I know. So it's like, I don't have time to sit back and explain stuff to people. Like if I really sat up here and told you all the dreams I have, you'd be like, girl, like I have some really intense, very interdimensional type of, like my dreams are really weird, vivid, almost
Do
like
you remember them
pre.
though?
Yes. I remember themes in dreams. Even if I don't remember every detail, I remember dreams that are trying to tell me about something. So it's like I've had dreams, plenty of dreams about the world being on fire and me running around the world with a bunch of babies, tons. And I'm
Do you have
like,
the dream over and over?
not the same dream, but they're the same scenario. Like world's on fire, I'm saving kids. Like it's crazy, but I don't like talking about my dreams with people because I feel like that's another thing I feel about God that there's some things there's some knowledge. There's things that he grants people that aren't meant to be boasted and shown and
Yeah.
bragged upon. I
You
think that
that's in the Bible.
there, yeah, and I believe it, and I haven't even read it. And I just, to me, I feel like that's just something that there's just some stuff that doesn't have to be explained. And now that I've kind of broken out of the shell that I had as a child, because I didn't talk as much, like younger me wasn't as outspoken and
Hmm.
confident within myself and all of that. And now it's like I love being observed and to myself, but I know how to, turn up and be social and I love and enjoy people now. Like now I know how to be around people without feeling some kind of way or being too sensitive. So
Wow.
it's like now I'm at a point where I don't want to talk to anybody anymore. Like I just want to talk to people who get me and that's it. Or at least want to try
That's
to.
a lot to have to come from
Yeah.
to be.
It's like to break away from old habits and now that I've deciphered what's true and what like once I now that I'm my own individual, there are some things about me like that my inner child that I did as a kid that I miss about myself. And I'm like, I feel like people in my life kind of beat it out of me. And it's like I don't I don't know, and not in a bad way like abuse, but just like people will you'll have traits as a child, and you can be very optimistic, or there's pure, genuine the happiness a child can have, and if it's not maintained by family, you get discouraged. You are who raises you, so it's like I didn't have that confidence or that value of myself where I felt deserving of things, and a lot of this stuff is self-made. I didn't, no one really. I ain't gonna say nobody, but like a lot of the influence had to come from other people outside of the house I was raised in, and it's like I'm at a point now where it's like nobody can tell me who I am or what's the right thing to do because I just set up and watch y'all do stuff and tell other people what's right and what's wrong. And that's just everybody and everything. Like
Yeah, that's true.
I watch how people operate. And I tell people this all the time. When you sit back and watch what people choose to do, because that little meme that whole watch people actions and what they choose to do, not what they say, like that is just no matter what way you word that, that's so true. people say stuff and they are such hypocrites. And it's like,
Yeah.
I know that people sometimes, and I don't disrespect my elders typically. I let them say what they say, and I think that they're full of shit in my head. I don't tell them that out loud. And that's not all of them, but there are some that I look at, like, look at how you living, and you think, I
Right.
care about your opinion of me and what you think I should be doing or how I should
Right.
be perceiving myself to y'all. Like, the fact that like, there are some people that are my elders that I feel like I'm more mature than mentally. Like, I feel like I got years on a lot of people mentally, but I'm still in my youth. So there's just some stuff. Hey, I'm young and turned. I'm not gonna deny that. But like, I'm not stupid. Like, I am very mature for my age. Like, I remember this guy, my dad, his wife, my stepmom has a sister, and she got with this guy who was like retired police officer or whatever. He was a cool guy, and I was just, like I said, I will talk to whoever, and we were all just talking at the house, and he goes behind and tells my dad, like, after the fact, like, your daughter is so mature and so this and so that, and I'm like, and my dad told him I was like 65 mentally, and I was like, okay. Okay, bro. But I mean, it's true. Like,
I mean,
that's
I've
why.
heard that too.
But when you got older people telling you you're mature, and when you're a CNA working around a bunch of older people who applaud you for you to be your age and to
Oh, that's
respect your
right.
mindset. Because yeah, I talked to all those old people all those years, and I think
Oh
that
my God, I
as
forgot that's what you were
as much
doing.
as I look, yes, and I work. So you saw me. I worked. So I worked
Oh
16 hour
my
shifts
gosh,
for 3 years.
you know what just came to my head? I said, what was Ronnie doing before this?
I was taking care of
Before school?
everybody else.
Yes.
Before I had my baby, I love,
Like, oh
when I
my
tell people I
God.
love doing that, and like, I literally saved people, like, I made people's day doing that because they were so miserable in those
So
nursing
freaking
homes.
crazy.
And those old people loved me. And I swear that's part of the reason why I feel disconnected from our generation. Like, sometimes, because I'm just like, this stuff don't matter. Like, I signed up with people who were like dying and nobody cared about them. Like, we are so disconnected from so many things where it's like,
Wow.
yeah, I enjoy stuff in this world and I enjoy being young, and I enjoy all that, yes, but I'm not delusional to the fact that there are
Okay.
simpler things in
Okay.
life. And it's just, I'm very humble because of that. And a lot of older people would always tell me, you are an angel, like, you're gonna be blessed for doing this and that. And when I had Mel, I just didn't have the desire to do that anymore. And I would do it, like, if I had no choice and I just wanted to get back into nursing or whatever, yeah, I'd go back and do it because I truly did. I made people say I was very thoughtful of what they liked. I had a patient that she was so big they wouldn't give her a bath. I was the only one that would bathe her. I remember when I started working with her, she hadn't had a bath in 3 months. She had those like sores under her because when bigger people have those heated spots, they get like raw and stuff, and they develop yeast. Like, it was just bad, and it's just, I don't know. A lot of that stuff helped me grow spiritually too. Like, all that stuff was just a part of me growing. Like, living helped me grow spiritually way more than any church could. That's why I kind of said what I said earlier. Like, I found my blessings in other things, and I found other things to be grateful for outside of going to church and learning what to be grateful for. Like, experiences taught me what to be grateful for.
I just like how you're open though. I like how you were like your answer to my question was yes, that
Yeah,
you're open because you
yeah.
are.
I
You
try
said
to
you
be.
were reading the Bible from like start to finish, or
Basically, like, sometimes I read it like from the
Mhm.
beginning, and sometimes I'll just pick a book and read it and read
Okay.
what I want. But either way, I'm gonna just keep going through it and read it. I'm
Right,
gonna
right.
read it
But
off.
you're like you're in it right now, and
Yeah.
that's a major deal to be able to say like you're open, and that's I definitely love that about you. You're Scorpio,
Mhm.
so you guys have a lot of passion. I'm gonna call it that. When you speak,
Yeah, I think that we're very complex, and I think that a lot of Scorpios like to um figure out things for themselves instead of just letting other people just tell them, like, hey, this is what this is, and it's like, no, I kind of need to figure it out in my own way how I'm gonna do
but you
it.
guys are very
So
unique.
yeah,
You guys are very unique, each of you individuals,
yeah,
and
as are all.
it definitely you have to be a mature person. You can tell to not be your friend, but just to be around you because you've been like that from you've been consistent with that you just don't be around me with the don't be around me with the BS. You know what I mean? that is you. Like, don't be around me with the BS. Like,
And
I'm
everybody
not a
knows that
complicated
about
person.
me.
I'm very direct, and this is how I am. And
And I tell people this, and I still like just be running into stuff because people ain't real with themselves, so they take it out on me. And I always like, and I feel like I'm so
that's not
open.
funny, but it's
It's
just so
true.
it's so
It's
funny how you
so
worded it, but it's true.
because it's true.
They take it out on me.
Because they and they do because that's why I was telling you earlier. Like I don't take what people, even if they do it to me, like a lot of stuff I just can't take personal because I'm like y'all are really like. I'm telling you, I got years on people mentally of the stuff. I've just sat back and observed and learned and was humble enough to listen to other older people talk to me. And I'm like, the stuff y'all care about, we are not the same. Like, we may vibe the same and go out and have fun the same way, but we don't think the same. Like, if all this stuff disappeared tomorrow, y'all would be stuck. I got somewhere to go. I got a Bible to read. Like I got entertainment. I can find like this. I don't material items are nothing to me. That I enjoy
Right.
them and I know what to. I know I'm here to enjoy this life and I'm going to, and no one's gonna make me feel bad about it. But I wouldn't feel bad if social media went away. Like I'm just,
Right.
especially the more and more I go through stuff now. I just
I think that's another reason why, and I don't want to say that I'm hesitant or whatever, but I need to find maybe another platform than Instagram to build my
you need
mother
to use
woman
the
warrior.
reels are the best way to go.
You
TikTok
know,
reels, all that. You can go the. Unfortunately, you want to go that route just so you can go ahead and get your fan base. But once you have a solid group of people that support you, a lot of people that aren't in it for the overall fame and exposure and the clout, and they just want to get their message out there to people who really care and comprehend. Like people have those Patreon pages where people subscribe, or that Shira Seven chick, she has a private YouTube. People have to subscribe. Like, you can find ways to just limit it to the people that get you and understand you and have your own little community. And especially if you're not in it for that reason.
listen, I'm in it for both reasons, but at the
It's
same
like
time,
you
I
can that's what I'm
do
saying. You
love
can make money off those people.
expressing myself and helping. That's why, even talking about intuition as long as we have is important to me because I really want women and yes, even men to understand that following your gut and following your original heart is important, and not to just make mistakes and compromise because you're like, no, my intuition can't be true, even
Exactly.
if it's something you don't want.
And also I'm glad you said that because you reminded me of something I was gonna say earlier, but we started talking about something else. Um what you're saying about um people following their intuition or whatever, people need to understand though that if you don't self-reflect, you could blindly follow your intuition. Your gut may be telling, but your intuition could easily be the devil. And that's something else I've learned about your gut feeling is that if you're like a narcissist or one of those self-serving individuals, you gonna think your gut telling you whatever you want it to tell you. And if something don't feel right and it's not what you want to deal with,
That's interesting.
you're gonna walk. You notice like how narcissistic people or just people that just don't want to be good or they're just evil or whatever you want to call them, like they're just not good and they don't want to be held accountable. They run from their intuition. And there are some people that
I was gonna
like
say you can't even say they have intuition because
I think that you do. I think that intuition comes with light and dark too, because if your morals and that's like a
that's why we said it
yeah,
tied into
like
the
they like
morals and
the
the integrity.
yeah, all of that stuff is tied together. If your morals integrity are fucked because you're a rapist or whatever you are, your intuition is gonna have you. That's like Ted Bundy.
Yeah.
Why do you think he did all that?
Well, my God, guys, I do want to say with a little bit of
I mean, seriously.
comedy here, um, please, if you're a killer, don't follow your intuition.
Like seriously, but when you
No,
think about it
I'm
like that, like
serious
if you're
because
not
that's
truly
such a
keeping it
good
real,
point.
if you're not keeping it real with yourself, like you're just doing,
Your
you're
morals,
like dragging yourself through hell on purpose.
you
So
like your morals, your integrity have to line up with your intuition. You
yeah, like
cannot
everything
be
has to
out
be aligned,
here
all of it.
doing all this craziness and then, that's your morals and you have no integrity and then your intuition says, yeah, go on.
Pretty much.
Steal that. Do that negative thing
Basically. And that's why I'm like,
because that's what
you
you're doing.
you're giving this advice about intuition, and I love it. Like I agree, and it needs to be touched on. But like for those people who haven't done the inner work, like you need to understand that you need to be self-aware before you start trusting your intuition. Because if you're not self-aware and you're kidding yourself, or you're just downright living a life that I wouldn't personally live, then you're just pretty much
I
you,
appreciate your input. I really, really do. I mean, and I'm gonna pull back and say, this intuition that I wanted to speak on is really for the people that do have the morals and the integrity, but they're kind of stuck where they don't know what to do. They love somebody, but and that person's good for them, but at the same time they're really not, and you're just confused and you
right.
just
But you're confused because, and I feel like those
because you're
people,
compromising.
I feel like, right, you're compromising, and you're compromising because, like, I think I said this off the record before, but I think that people are trying to be their people pleasers without realizing. Like when you're in these friendships, relationships, whatever you want to call it, I think that people, the baby, I think that people are so focused on not trying to lose the person they're dealing with because they don't want to be alone, and they care more about pleasing that person than themselves.
Okay.
They're not realizing, like, oh damn, this person doing all these things to show me they don't value me or care for me, but I don't realize it because I don't want to lose them. I don't want to be alone or whatever it
That's such a
is.
good point, and that's what it
Yeah.
is, and it's just like if you just follow your intuition and not be scared to
Yeah,
be alone.
you got to be a little cocky for that too. Like you have to know your worth a little bit. Like, look, I know I don't deserve that, and I wouldn't treat other people like that.
Yeah.
So they shouldn't be doing that to me, and I should not be compromising with them about why they shouldn't be treating me with respect or with whatever dignity, whatever you want to call it.
Or if
I
you
feel
feel like
like,
someone's cheating on you, and this might be a different type of intuition, but if you feel like someone's cheating on you, right? And you get that gut feeling, you get that sixth sense, and you ignore it because you're like, no, not this person. They promised me they would never do that to me.
right,
And it's like
that makes the gut feeling
you go
worse.
6 years down the line and this person's been cheating the whole time and you finally found out and you think back and you should have just listened to your gut feeling. You should listen to that sixth sense. You should have followed your intuition. And that is what I wanted to bring to light. That's what I wanted people to understand about their intuition. That I don't want them to ignore it when they know that something is wrong and when they feel that. That's thank you. Thank you for bringing that out.
Yeah, because it's true. Because people don't really, people are so disconnected from their feelings, and they think like, oh, pretending I don't care is the best way to act, and it's like that's not really what I'm getting at though. What I'm getting at is don't be afraid to put your feelings first and let people know like, hey, this is how I'm feeling. This is what, and it's not even like you're laying out
Right, that's
expectations.
true.
You're just being transparent. And I think being transparent, open and honest with people. And that's something I've worked on doing these past couple years, and it's that's one of the reasons why I've changed a lot too. I've really tried to focus on being as open and honest as possible, and just working through my feelings and aggression. And that's why I say some people kind of
Was
it's
that a problem
it's
before?
it wasn't a problem. I just didn't know how to do it because I was raised to think my feelings didn't matter. So when I got to a point where I was more open and expressing myself, I'm like, okay, I got to find a way to do this while valuing myself and valuing others. Like I had to find that medium
Wow.
of saying what I need to say, but also being okay with the fact that people aren't going to care about how I feel. Like it was a lot of other stuff I had to work through to really deal with just people and living, because it's like stuff just doesn't make sense for a while, and then you get to a point where you're like, well, all that old stuff don't matter because you're free from it. Just focus on, you have all the power and control to be an individual, so make the best of it. So that's kind of the point I'm at now. So some people just don't get me right now. The level of transparency I'm on, people do not understand because everybody's trying to do the same thing. Now, all trying to be too cool, fuck your feelings. I don't need this or that. But then it's in the back end in real life, you don't want to be alone and you really want somebody to connect with and be
But
with.
that's like what you
People
said
are
about
yearning
Tim.
for the basic stuff.
He's growling and doing all this, but he's really just scared.
Yeah, because he doesn't know. He's just unsure.
And that's what I'm saying. These people, they're unsure.
And that's just issues with fuck with y'all. But I get it though. A lot of people were thrown at the condition to not care about their emotions. Hearing the things that I have to say, people don't want to hear what I have to say a lot of the time. Or they don't want to hear it at that time because, like you said, they don't want to take accountability and they don't want to grow. And that's what's hard about transparency for me, is that people misinterpret what I say and what I do because they just don't want to believe it, or they're not ready to hear it.
Said people attack me. They attack you because they don't know how to deal with what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know how to take accountability.
Or they avoid me altogether. Like there are people that literally just avoid me and they only talk to me when I'm trying to be like, you know, or not even when I'm trying to be anything, but when they want advice or they're ready to hear something that's the truth. But like my little sister said that. She's like, yeah, I call my older, she's like, I'll call Tia, my big sister. I'll call her if I want someone to just lie to me and put sugar on top. But if I want to hear the truth, I'm calling you. And I was like, you know to call me because I ain't got nothing else for you. I'm just not in the business of like coddling and babying people. I think people deserve to be, you know, grace and have some love and affection, but you have to do shit.
And I wish people would see the value in that because, I mean, just like your sister said, I'm going to call you when I want the truth. There's so much value in truth. There's so much value in being direct. There's so much, and people don't realize it.
It gets you to the end.
You're with this guy and he says, I'm probably gonna cheat on you, so I'm gonna go ahead and go ahead and end it right now.
Mm-hmm.
That girl's gonna freak out. She's gonna be upset. She's gonna be crying. But at the end of the day, I'm telling you, her hurt is gonna be less than someone who tries to hide it.
Yeah, exactly.
Being direct is a value. You know,
it is because it's like value. It's like I tell people all the time, you have to skip to the end with like everything. That's my like cheat code for life. Skipping to the end.
What do you mean by that?
So like a scenario, like we can go back to cheating or whatever. Like say you're in a relationship with a guy and it's like, okay,
it's on and off, or
it's on and off. Say he cheats a lot. Say you're just with a guy and it's fresh, like it's just starting out and you're unsure, like that girl you were talking about in the Uber. Like a girl like her, I would have just said, follow your intuition like you told her, but skip to the end. Like if you know how it's going to play out because of other experiences or because your gut's telling you it's wrong, skip to the end, be hurt, to tell yourself everything truth you need to hear, all the ugly truths, like just air it out.
Definitely.
Get somebody to tell, or get, if you can't do it or you can't even fathom those thoughts, but you can tell someone what you're going through so they can break it down in a more analytical way. Let that person break it down for you and tell you what you need to hear and move on. Like skipping to the end will make it so much easier to understand that what people do to you is not that personal. A lot of people are just seeing how long they can get away with shitting you. And the longer you let them, it's your loss, not theirs. It's that whole,
I mean,
because that whole fool me,
I've never heard it put
that fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, whatever. Like that's what the way you elude that fool me twice mess is to skip to the end and accept people for who they are the first time. But if you accept people who they are the first time, it's like you're gonna get, you're gonna go ahead and move on, and God can give you what's next, or your next task, your next lesson, your next person, your next blessing, whatever it is. Like you're really missing out on the inevitable because you're holding on to something that was never meant to last. It was only supposed to teach you something.